I've covered the Iranian nuclear program for nearly a quarter of a century. And what President Trump did is something that none of his four predecessors was willing to do for fear of the backlash. He sent a fleet of B-2 bombers to drop the most powerful non-nuclear weapons on the three most important sites for the Iranian nuclear program. The primary target, of course, was Fordo. That's the facility that's deep under a mountain, and it was designed to be hard to hit. This is the one site that the Israelis weren't sure they could get at. The second site was Natanz, the oldest enrichment site in Iran. And the third doesn't get anywhere near as much attention. But the fact of the matter is, that's where the Iranians were storing uranium that was just short of bomb grade. What the administration wants to compare this to is the operation to kill Osama bin Laden. I'm not sure the Iranians saw it that way. Think of this in reverse. Imagine that we had a facility or several buried deep in the mountains in Colorado, and a foreign power had come along and bombed it. We'd probably compare that to Pearl Harbor. The question of how close Iran was to actually obtaining a weapon is critical to this entire issue. If you believe the Israelis and the evidence that President Trump said convinced him, although he's never described it in public, then the Iranians were very close to a weapon, and this was an act of preemption. But in fact, American intelligence didn't believe that. They didn't believe that the Iranians had yet made a decision to build a weapon. Now, of course, this is imprecise stuff. There is nothing exact about intelligence collection. Look, the United States is vulnerable here. There are more than 40,000 American troops spread across the Middle East. They're on big military bases, they're on temporary locations, they're on ships out in the Persian Gulf and in the Mediterranean, all of them within range of Iran's missiles. It could use cyber attacks. It could conduct acts of terrorism around the world. The gamble that President Trump is taking right now is that he can actually get away with this and that Iran is too weak to retaliate in a serious way. We've seen attacks on Iran's nuclear program before. And while each one is a setback, the Iranians have this way of just growing back the limbs they've lost. If that program is as big as ever, then we would have taken the bet and lost, because you could probably accomplish more to suspend the program with diplomacy than you were able to by lobbying bunker busters into their enrichments.